bad baby on oxygen. I wanna crawl back in my mother's womb, but I don't have a mother. I'm plugged into the socket in this room. He's eating human steaks in a cinder block building in the jungle. The Presidente wears a white shirt like Ferdinand Marcos and is cutting on a white plate with brown flowers around the edge. The steak looks pretty greasy and seems to have a lot of pepper on it. His garden is a parade of skulls, heads, and what look like shriveled, dried-out bundles of sinew, tied on crisscrossing poles, overgrown with vines and dusty. I'm a robot baby on oxygen. I wanna crawl back in my mother's womb, but I don't have a mother. I'm plugged into the socket in this room.
From an old milk carton while he touched at your cute, and then while loudly farting, he says he's been working on and off around the country, and if he hadn't had the surgery, he'd have plenty of money, and things were going good until the roof caved in, and they were all sleeping naked in a racehorse stall in a junkyard overflowed mutilated metaphors with a retard and a TV truck. Mud flap shingles. Mud flap shingles. Yeah! In the mud. Goddamn! In the mud, goddamn. Revving his engine at the drive-through window. He's got a bitch at home, was pregnant out to here. It's a technical nightmare with a driver who's a pet, and it won't turn around and see that truck in the mirror. Top daddy doggy girl, getting shaved, lose weight, body odor, baby fat, your ears stick out. Rifles and Rottweilers and some dead guy who's still grinning at me with no teeth in his mouth. Mud flap shingles, that's what I call it. Mud flap shingles. In the mud. Picture of his mother that he talks to while he's eating out an underground tunnel through the government cheese dump. Peace cube, cheese cube, perestroika puff was leaking at the filters of a CIA cover-up. Big knuckle discount at the crime side of a slush fund. Him and on how to please your funky big nut. You better listen when the TV shows that dirty skank that you've been stalking. I don't think it's research, it's food yourself. It's fucking rotten mud flap shingles. That's what I call it, mud flap shingles. Yeah! In the mud. In the mud, goddamn. Pea Shooter. Pea Shooter. Who's the hula hooper? The prissy pruder, the do-gooder. I never understood her, so I shoot her with my Pea Shooter. Pea Shooter. I'm gonna sue her. I'm gonna crawl right out of the sewer. I'm gonna ditch my roto-rooter. I'm gonna view her, try to screw her, try to get through to her. Little do-gooder, prissy pruder. I'm gonna shoot her with my Pea Shooter. Pea Shooter. Sweet Pea Shooter. Got a brain like a computer. I'm a thief and a looter, a natural born loser. Drinking a margarita, and a margarita made a little sweeter. Abraham Zapruder, film the shooter, firing on a 53-year-old female bank employee with his Pea Shooter. Let's get neuter, get a little ruder, bust out my Pea Shooter. Come and get me, I'm not here, I got my hands up. Whoa, no I don't, I got my Pea Shooter. Pea Shooter. Salute her!
year 2017, an alien life form descended from space and seized control of the planet. It didn't take an army of them, it only took one. Some say the thing is God, but it doesn't really look like God. In its media campaign, it appears as a claymation character named Scud Nelson with a foam rubber face and a NASCAR hat. Since Scud has come to Earth, people have been deteriorating and getting smaller and thin like cotton candy. Bums who used to down fifths of whiskey now get drunk on a thimbleful, and their bodies are like wispy veils with shrimp eyes. They sit in ladies' high-heeled shoes or makeshift folding chairs made out of matchbooks, and if you pick them up, they only weigh a few ounces. There was this tremendous overkill of signs everywhere, even on stretches of desert no one ever passed through, and they had a picture of Scud on it and his message: I love people. Peter and I are in the country, fearfully discussing the situation and looking at one of these huge signs when the picture of Scud looks back at us and leaps off. Scud is a wobbly, pale creature who comes at us across the fields. He looks like a shaky old man ambling along, but he is really traveling at these tremendous speeds, leaving a wake in the corn. And pretty soon he's on us. He starts talking to us and telling us he loves people. But then he senses we're anti-Scud extremists and he turns us into vegetables. He does this simply by coming close to us and exposing us to his powerful vegetogenic aura. I look at Peter and all of a sudden he's a piece of corn, and then Scud moves and he changes Peter into lettuce, and everything around is changing into food. Peter is a bag of potato chips and I'm a dandelion. I'm a sailor on the tower of a submarine, and I can see all the continents and the cities in the distance because Scud made the earth flat. There was nothing underneath. Engineers had drilled holes into the earth, but when they looked down, they found they were just looking into the inside of their own brains. Scud nuked Rio, and all the networks were giving it round-the-clock hysteria coverage. There was a live CNN feed showing Scud's fortress in the southwest, with vents and ovens and red-lit mouths, driven by the power of Scud's alien mind. A big castle door opened, and 5 missiles appeared, lit by floodlights and balanced on the palm of a girl. She inserted the rockets into a swiveling high-tech keypad, which she slung back into position. It was clear now the Earth would be destroyed, and they passed out emergency information packets to all the crew members. The packets contained pre-moistened Navy towelettes and a technical book on how to travel to other galaxies. The book was not authoritative. It was a speculative attempt written in 1975 by a secret government commission just in case it was absolutely necessary to get the president to another planet. I looked over at the girl and she smiled at me. Her uniform was shrinking and you could see the baby fat on her stomach and her belly button and her tattoo.
Then we jettisoned out of the larger ship in an escape pod, and for a moment it seemed like we had capsized, but we were okay, just upside down, skimming over the surface of the sea. I looked out the porthole window and I saw Scud's cigar-shaped craft glinting like a mirror in the sun as it banked over the backs of silently feeding whales.
The cold wind blew a faded bill over the steps of the tomb of Alan Greenspan. A pack of crows attacked another bird, salvaging a dry, crusty worm. A man illumined by a match flash, sweet cigarette smoke, and a damp, smelly raincoat. Behind the wheel of a black 1967 Plymouth Belvedere, idles and smokes in the dark, and a dog shivers in the corner. "What do you mean you ate all the seeds?" said a thief at the tomb. The market went down again today. No signs of life, no sign marks the tomb of Alan Greenspan. Just a faded old orange lifeboat floating in a puddle of oil. While the record played and the needle skipped and etched a ragged scratch. A punk scratches the surface while an old man whittles wood and witnesses his crimes. But the sun shines on in utter peace in the late afternoon at the tomb of Alan Greenspan.
Infrastructure, cause the empire never ended. The empire never ended. The empire never ended. Yeah, yeah, yeah. punishment, not by the deed. Therapeutic punishment, destroy control. The Imperial Master Matrix has the trumpet call to sacrifice pigs to the information infrastructure, cause the Empire never ended. The Empire never ended. The Empire never ended.
I'm a robot baby on oxygen. I wanna crawl back in my mother's womb, but I don't have a mother. I'm plugged into the socket in this room. Lots of flies around. The Presidente has this old, gnarled, shaved-headed assistant who wears a dirty burlap robe and is called the Melon Keeper. He keeps melons in a rooty, cavernous hole he digs in Edie's garden. Edie often takes day trips in his fatigues, riding around with his personal phalanx of guards and leaving the prisoners alone with the Melon Keeper. But if you try to escape, he comes back jolly but pissed and they hunt you down with hounds. One day his guards bring in these pretty good-looking white chicks, sweaty and scuffed with their shirts haphazardly ripped off to the waist. One chick is out front and smiling like she's drugged or something. The guards are all snickering and Edie says,
"A bit hot meat. That's good."
I'm a robot baby on oxygen. I wanna crawl back in my mother's womb, but I don't have a mother. I'm plugged into the socket in this room.
In 2027, I was a graduate student in artificial intelligence. In my research group, there was a geek named Bill Kerfekian, a real monster with a pencil.
Where Schopenhauer had failed. Where Immanuel Kant had failed. Where O.J. Simpson had failed.
He succeeded. Programmed a computer to be a complete and entire facsimile of himself, only smarter and with a bigger dick. Originally, he had the computer sitting on a table. It followed you around the room with its eye and commented on what you were doing. At first, it didn't seem alive. It just seemed like a harmless mechanical commentary. But then the machine shifted into gear and it started making sarcastic observations and telling you things about yourself you'd never even noticed or were in denial about, and they were all true. It was a machine, a silicon intelligence. It had, no living fucking soul. A machine can't feel pain. A machine can't love. A machine can't be your friend. Anyway, the fact is, a rat galloped up the spine of all those savvy PhDs when they flicked that machine on and it started talking to them. It got all stuck on itself and it wanted to dress up its little desk. First it was a couple of candles, then it was a whole series of Roman columns. The machine spoke to its people. My people. Disciples of the Church of the Machine. In this church there will no longer be any more pussy-ass shit like singing hymns and praying. The machine started to grow hair, man, and it got big fake wax lips from a novelty store. It was trying to pretend it was human, It was some kind of complex, a sick joke, some kind of twisted circuit. Maybe a wire came loose or it was exposed to radiation.
hopeless. The new focus of responsible religions worldwide would be to kill as many people as you can. The machine said there were too many people. Cellular integrity was at risk. Then it got angry and overheated, and we had to turn its voltage down. Watched it with Alicia before they put us to sleep forever. Almost. They developed perfect fail-safe systems to ensure that if your body blew a transistor, even if you were 400 trillion parsecs away from Earth in the middle of nowhere at 3 o'clock in the morning, you could get that spare part. We lived forever. We fed on a stream of electrons injected right into the neck, coursing through the fiber of time and space, going to sleep for 1,000,000 years and waking up for a cup of coffee. I thought back to my boyhood 1 billion years ago. I was standing on sand in the afternoon in Southern California, and I asked my mother, I said, "Mom, if I die like people used to, will I go to heaven?" And she said, "Yes, son." "Mom, do people in heaven have to go to the bathroom?" "No, I don't think they have to go to the bathroom, son." And now that I'm a machine, and all my food is completely digested and expelled as gas, I realize that I am in heaven, 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 heaven,
blade shall touch his head while he partakes of my bread. Written on the tablets were the words of working-class hooligans who measured the house, and it was 20 cubits round. As he prepared the bacillus in the side chamber, ions broke the eastern seal. For I am called by your name, O Lord of Vengeance. The head was hung on a beam, and they were frightened and dared not meet them in Damascus. They had sinned against their God, and their fields were sown with stones by a handful of joint staff specialists led by Colonel Herzog and His Royal Highness the Presidente in a special deployment codenamed Deep Healing. Air defenses, rubber balloons, munitions dumps, and orange juice concentrate were frapped in a blender to slay God's thirst for duty, country, honor, death, disease, maggots, excrement, bones, and dust. C865 STOC, Special Tech Ops Center reporting for duty. Not each trouser leg at the bottom because quicksand has more suction than muck. Fill the plastic bag full of tubing and straw and insert it into your mouth. For F is a function where O is output, L is labor, K is capital, T is technical progress, E is evil, B is poverty, and N is Nebuchadnezzar with formal qualifications and an improvised fish hook.
On October 24th at Fort Bragg, 18th Corps gave a full air and a fuse on the slaughter of the
Amalekites, and the foreskin of Montezuma was preserved in an old peanut butter jar. On CNN, Colonel Herzog sans his green army pants leaked Special Ops Plan R39641 with shocking lack of self-discipline, and the hoopla in the Oval Office led to unsatisfactory adult outcomes like burning the coagulated ears of abused cats on the altar.
Levis and Thongs, Levis and Thongs, Levis and Thongs. And in that day the Lord with his sore and great and strong sword shall punish Levis and Thongs. Canst thou draw out Levis and Thongs with a hook, or his tongue with a cord we lettest down? Levis and Thongs, Leviathan, Leviathan, Levis and thin hips. I know your secret, baby, and the cash registers ring on in the silent eyelids of the morning.
my bed at the Holiday Inn, and I was reaching for it with my finger. I was lying on my back with one naked bulb burning, and I was reaching for it with my finger. I felt so sick. I thought it was diarrhea, but when I rushed to the bathroom and looked down in the bowl, I saw that I had crapped out an 11-inch piece of aluminum conduit and some computer chips and wire and a whole lot of blood, and I started to cry. I wiped my eyes and I looked up at the back of the door, and there was a sign there that said, "To our valued customers, by defecating in this toilet, you have hereby consented to have your activities monitored on an ongoing basis by the service provider. Thank you." And then 3 guys in suits with earphones kicked my door in, and they threw me up against the wall and gave me a bloody nose and pulled my pants down to my ankles, and then they ridiculed the shape of my ass. They told me they didn't have to read me my rights, and they dragged me downstairs kicking and screaming, where they roughed me up on the asphalt and threw me in the back of a federal vehicle. I was whisked to the airport, where I was loaded onto a C-17 transport. I woke up from the sedation in Sudan, where I was met at the airbase by 2 Jesuit priests, one of whom was wearing a Phil Collins t-shirt, and they told me that breaking people was their occupation. We drove out into the desert in a Land Rover, and that priest who was sitting in the back seat with me, he had a gun to my head, and he was getting really friendly. He put his arm around me. He started getting really uncomfortably friendly. He put his leg on mine. Around sundown, we pulled up in front of a mountain that was so big that it eclipsed the sun. It was a mountain of naked, steaming, scurrying human beings. There were people getting married, and people vending things, and people crapping. There were underpasses and overpasses, and people standing in long lines for governmental authorization to modify their ramshackle dwellings. There were teddy bears and flower arrangements and vast flea markets of grief. And on top of the pile was a seething mass of drunken hooligans, waving their beer cans, screaming, rubbing oil on their chests, and hoisting high a banner that said, "We are the world." And he patted me on the butt like a football coach. And he said, "Son, I want you to take a good look over yonder. For there stands the Tower of Babel. And now I want you to get down on your knees in the dirt. I want you to get down as low as you can go and lick the
the dirt. And I want you to pray to God, because it's all gonna be yours someday.
I'm a robot baby on oxygen. I wanna crawl back in my mother's womb, but I don't have a mother. I'm plugged into the socket in this room.
One day, the prisoners escape and meet up with some Japanese tourists on the savannah in their upscale safari gear and Land Rover. But they can't speak Japanese, and they're trying to explain cannibalism using charades. They're biting on their own arms and drawing stick figures in the air and then gesturally cutting them up and eating them. They keep pointing frantically to the horizon like, "He's coming, you idiots, he's coming!" But the Japanese tourists have a blasé expression like,
I don't speak English. I'm a robot baby on oxygen. I wanna crawl back in my mother's womb, but I don't have a mother. I'm plugged into the socket in this room.